Coach Davis knows what it takes to build a winning program. As a player in 2017, he was the GLBC Defensive Player of the Year, and today he's helping recruit and develop D1 talent while playing a key role in Bellarmine's success, including the 2022 ASUN Tournament Championship. Hey, Coach Davis, man, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Man, I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk hoops, man. It's always fun talking hoops. So let's do it.
A lot of people think you're like one of the rising coaches, assistant coaches across the nation. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'll kind of start obviously prior to coming to Bellarmine, right? So originally from Colorado Springs, grew up there. Obviously, my dad was military, so went to Fountain Fort Carson High School. Shout out to Fountain Fort Carson High School if anybody even knows where that is. But so went there, did my scholastic years there. Then went to a junior college in Mason City, Iowa, at North Iowa Area Community College. Played under Mark Mole, Jeremy Winters and those guys, Coach Coop and those dudes. He's at Howard now at JUCO. They just won a national championship. So played for those guys. Had 2 good years and then got recruited by Scotty Davenport in the staff, and from there, man, I've been blessed, man. Played 2 years for Scotty D, 2015 to 2017. Was on went to a Final Four as a player. Played alongside really good dudes, guys that I still talk to today. And then took a year off from there, got into sales once I graduated, and then since then, man, I was able to get on the staff. I volunteered for a year, worked at Dick's Sporting Goods in the mornings, then got to volunteer under Coach Scotty D, and then, a year later, man, I was very grateful. He, offers me a full time spot as an assistant coach, man, and have been with these guys ever since. So, now under Doug Davenport, his son, this will be our second year going in. So, like I said, man, I'm super grateful, super blessed to be in the position I'm in, man, and I always tell people this, man. If you're not always trying to learn from others, man, you're wrong, right? Like, I never ever do I go in a room trying to think I'm the smartest man, man. I'm always trying to learn. I'm trying to watch, because that's what's got me to where I am today. So
Yeah, you're surrounded by like in Kentucky, like basketball royalty, like many of us think. How did basketball become your passion?
yeah, man, that's a good question. So, for me, man, I have 3 brothers. My oldest brother Quincy Davis, second oldest Chris Davis, and I have a twin brother. His name's Anthony Davis, T Davis. So all of us, man, like those dudes are the reason why I found my passion in just competing. Right? We played every sport when we were younger, man. We played football, soccer, baseball, basketball. But, I found my passion in basketball really quickly when we would play. So I was a military brat. So we play on Fort Carson base. And I would always be playing against older guys that would get off work, and we would just be in there playing and getting up and down, man. And right there quickly, very quickly, I realized like, one, this is something that I could really, see myself really working hard at, right? And trying to go bigger and further. And then two, it was like, man, it's just when you're good at something, and you get to compete and you know really get down and dirty and try to get better every day. That was one thing where I was like, man, this is something that I could see myself really doing. And that's where, then the rest was history from there, man. When you find a passion, man, you chase it. That's the rest is history. So
What was your road to Bellarmine?
yeah, no, it's funny. So out of night, so I went to North Iowa. Man, Scotty Davenport would call me, man. So he's calling me like like at one point I wasn't heavily recruited, right? I had a couple D2s, that I was sniffing around on that were like calling on me, man. And this dude from Kentucky just kept wearing me out, man. I mean, calling me. I'm like, dude. I told my mom at the time, I'm like, man, this coach is wearing me out, mom. I had never been, east of the Mississippi. So like, I've never been to Kentucky. And he gets on the phone, and Scotty Davenport, Hall of Fame coach, man, he gets on there. And at the time I didn't know who he was. And he's got his little twang, and he's calling me, man, I want to get you out here to Kentucky, man. I think you can really help us. So I say, man, this dude really wants me, man. And there I was like, man, I'm gonna go somewhere where I feel like dudes want me. They want me. So I get on the flight, get on a visit, go on a flight there to Louisville, Kentucky. As soon as I got there, man, it was over, right? We got there. I got on my official visit. At the time, we're over there playing pickup with some of the Louisville guys, and I see just the success where we had just won a national championship. They were coming off a Division II 2015 Final Four. From there, man, very quickly, I told Coach, I was like, man, this is somewhere I can see myself impacting winning, right? So that's kind of how the whole story is. I always tell Coach when I got off the flight, he always tells a story. So I get off the flight, shake his hand. I'm like, Coach, I gotta ask you, man, like, how did you find me? Like, out of all the places, out of all the 5'9" guards in America, man, like, why me? You know? And the one thing he told me, he was like, man, when I saw that you were 5'9" and you were third in the conference in rebounding, very quickly I knew I had to get you here. Right. So that was like that still brings me chills at that moment when he said that to me, man. And ever since then, man, me and Coach, I mean, he's been a great mentor to me. And I was fortunate enough to help him win, a lot of games that we won at Knights Hall and just in general in my 2 years at Bellarmine. So Bellarmine's been, very great to me.
What was it like playing under Coach Scott Davenport?
Yeah, so yeah, it's one of those deals, man. If you are not competitive and you're not fiery and you don't stay up at night when you lose, it's probably not a good spot for you, right? Like that's one thing the respect that I have for Coach Scotty Davenport, man, is like there was one thing that I knew is he wanted to win. Like no matter what, we would have our, he's coaching me hard. At that time might not have agreed with him, but man, at the end of the day, we all knew he wanted what was best for us as players, and he wanted to win, right? So a lot of dudes, when you see it on the sidelines, he's getting after us. Dudes are like, "Dang, man, he might be a little too hard on these dudes." But at the end of the day, there's a reason why he won 70% of his games, right? He was just fiery, held us to a very high standard, and man, like accountability in all things is why you get to where you get. So
Yes,
I
sir.
was very fortunate to be able to play for Scotty Davenport, Hall of Fame coach, man, and very blessed. So.
How did your playing career help you prepare for coaching?
Yeah, it's a good question. So a lot of time, man, I just knew like my playing career. I was very into scouting. I was always into seeing why a team was trying to do something, right? So, especially as a point guard on the floor, man, you got to be able to see those things. Especially as an undersized guard, you have to be ready to understand what somebody's trying to accomplish and then force them to plan B, plan C, right? So that was just something I was always passionate about, right? And even when I was super young, man, I was always the loudest in the gym. I was always talking, hyping my teammates up, always just trying to be the general on the floor, man. Because I knew, like, at my size, I'm not going to be, the highest jumping dude. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to stand out to a lot of coaches. So like, what's going to separate me, right? And that is what, to me, I knew really quickly. I was like, man, if I could do this now as a player, that's just where my passion then grew right after playing. I was like, man, that's something that I can see myself doing and helping, the next guys, right? The next generation, the next. So that's where I quickly knew that like this is something I could do for a living.
You talk about being 5'9". I think like the smaller you are, like you have to have more of an IQ to be able to get to places. Because if you're not as athletic or you don't have the size, like you have to use something to keep you on the floor, right?
Oh, for sure. And the one thing that we're forgetting too, man, is like obviously IQ, and that's watching.
Yeah, but
Like
yeah.
kids don't understand, man. Like for us, man, the one thing that we tell our young guys, our freshmen, man, is like watch. I tell my 9-year-old son, watch, man. When you see somebody in front of you and you see them do something correctly, watch them, right? So you don't make that same mistake, or you can then simulate what they just did that was really good, right? But the main thing too, man, is like you have to be the hardest playing dude. Like that is like a non-negotiable that I just prided myself on, man. Like I was the hardest. I tried to be the hardest playing guy on the floor, and I tried to make sure that everybody knew that, right? So that's another thing that people don't talk about a lot. Is obviously like you got to know, you got to have IQ, but you got to make sure that everybody feels you and knows that you are the hardest playing dude on the floor. So.
Was coaching always the goal?
It wasn't, man. I'll say it. So. My mom was a longtime teacher, educator. My brothers are into education and stuff. So I knew I wanted to teach. I just didn't know in what capacity that would have been. So, like I said, like it's funny. Like Scotty D always says this, man. It's like when you do the right things, opportunity chases you down, and doors open. And like I said, I was just fortunate enough to obviously play for him and just be around the right people. And they obviously saw that I could have impact on the in our guys and have some success here. So, I knew I wanted to teach. I just didn't know in what capacity. So, when the opportunity came, man, it was I had to jump on it. So
how did your role on the staff evolved? Like, how has it
yeah.
evolved?
Man, it's funny. So obviously, I was under. So when I first got into coaching, right? you know I've been around really good motivators, right, really good teachers, and I always overlooked teaching, right? So when I first came in, man, I was under Coach Bo Braden, who was a long time assistant coach, was at Tennessee, was at Moorhead, like he coached me at Bellarmine. And I was also under Doug Davenport too, so who is now the head coach. And those dudes, I'll put those dudes up against anybody when it comes to teaching basketball.
Oh, your camera went off, Coach. I don't know what happened to Coach. I don't know if he hit the camera or what happened. Again, we have Al Davis, assistant coach. I'm going to invite him back, guys. I think he just hit the button he got himself off. But Coach Al Davis of Bellarmine, he's right back with us, I think. There you are, Coach.
Sorry, Cody. Yeah, no, yeah, sorry. I think I lost you, man. But anyways, I was just my evolution to coaching, just to real quick, just to jump back into that, man. But so I was under like really good teachers, right? Scotty Davenport, Hall of Fame coach, Doug Davenport, been to his ranks, right? Was at Louisville as a video guy, started off at Xavier, was at EKU. Then I'm under, Coach Bo Braden, who coached me. So obviously Coach Bo leaves us. And then, Scotty D, all of it, man. I just worked up in the ranks, man. I came in as obviously I was a volunteer. Then was on, would get up and down with the guys, would play, be on the court, kind of show them some things. And then as Coach Bo leaves, I kind of move up, right? And then as, Doug gets into his spot now as a head coach, I was able to stay on, man. And the one thing that I do love that about Bellarmine is like there's no egos, man. Like everybody works, right? I still do the laundry, right? And I'm not this isn't just to pat myself on the back. Like there's no job that's too small for me, too big for me, right? So I've just been fortunate enough to be around good dudes who think the same way. Because obviously, man, in coaching, man, there's egos involved, especially with recruiting and you can name it, right? So, my evolution, man, I've been fortunate enough to be around guys that were never too big, too little for a job, and I try to carry that forward, right? As guys that are coming up to see how I work, man, that's how I learned, right? And I think that's the right way to do it. So,
What's been some of your favorite moments as a coach?
that's funny, man. Yeah, it's funny. So I had two favorite moments. I say my very first one was my first scout that I did, and the first scout that I did, man, I was like 2 years removed, right, from playing, and I had guys that I had kind of knew right there. I'm only like 3 or 4 years older than them, and I got to try to present this scout to these dudes who I just kind of played with, and so I'm trying to separate myself and try to find a voice. And man, those dudes, it was brutal. It was probably one of the most coming to Jesus. Like, hey, man, if you want to be good in this industry, you got to know your stuff, right? And you have to be very, very, very prepared to find your voice and deliver something to guys. So that was like that was one thing that was a memorable moment for me, mainly because I had to grow from it, right? Like once I left that room, man, I was like, man, I don't know if this is gonna be for me, man. Like it was very tough, right? But I learned from it. I did, man. I learned from it. And then my second, I would say, is winning the A Sun championship. To be honest, man, like it was one of those deals where we had guys that have been in our program for 4 years, 5 years, and they worked so hard, and they were all about Bellarmine basketball, man. And when you see dudes that put so much work and time into something, and then you see them reap the benefits, man, it's an awesome thing to be a part of and see.
Bellarmine has become, a prestigious mid-major, one of the winningest or respected mid-major programs. What makes Bellarmine's culture so special?
Yeah, I think it's always this thing that we always tell guys is it's a non-negotiable. And I'm sure it's cliche, man. A lot of programs say this, but if you go do your research, go look at us, man. Like we never ever 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 budge on character, right? And that's big to us. Like we care so much of who we bring in the program because we know how much that impacts everything. If you have 16 guys on the roster and you have one guy, one guy that is not, all in, it impacts everything, right? So, just us, really taking a deep dive and really asking even the guys nowadays that I recruit. I say, man, I'm recruiting you. I want you to recruit me. I want you to do your research. I want you to make sure that this is a partnership, man. Like if this is something that you can see yourself doing where you have success at Bellarmine, I want you to come, right? But if this is a spot that you say, man, I don't see myself having success, fine, tell me. And we can try to, go find somebody that does see that. So that is like the non-negotiable. And that's the reason why, man. It's like character, character, character. But it's not just character, it's the guys that we bring in, they want to be great teammates, right? And they want to hold their teammates accountable to be great teammates, right? So that is the main reason why we've had our success at Division 2 level, right? We had our four Final Fours in 7 years. That's another reason why we were able to have the success, the early success, run once we made the transition to Division 1.
How has the transition from D2 to D1 like changed the program?
Yeah, it hasn't honestly, man. Like it really, the only thing is I'll say this is like obviously like from a talent standpoint, you do have to get more talent. You have to get better from a talented standpoint. But I will say I mean, as far as like the kind of guys that we have, like it's no different, man. To be honest, like the guys that I played with, I think that we could have competed in the A Sun. I do. I firmly believe that mainly because we had dudes that just played really hard and they played for each other. And that's like the main thing, right? People always ask about, go get the highest jumping dude, the 3 stars, the 4 stars, man. It's not there's so much more to college basketball than those guys, right? And when we made this jump, we had the most success with the guys that were here the longest. And there's something to say about that, right? Retention, retention, retention. And that's kind of how we're building this thing, man. It's like the more guys we have that are back, that have been with us, that understand what the expectations are, that have pride in carrying Bellarmine and wearing Bellarmine on their chest. Those are the dudes that we've had success with in the past, and we're gonna keep rolling that way.
How did winning the A Sun in 2022? What did that mean to everyone that was involved?
Ooh, I like I said it, man. That's like one of you asked me, like that's it, it meant so much. It really, man, it solidified mainly like our style of like you're in the city of Louisville, man, just our style of play. People would always question, like, why do they do this? Why do they reverse the ball? Why? Everybody always is, you always got the coaches from the coaches from the sidelines, and now you got social media, the people that can say things and comment and this and that. But outside of those people, man, like it just meant so much to us because it solidified the guys that have been with us the longest, man. Like they just worked. They didn't, especially in this day and age where people are transferring, and these dudes were guys that were like red shirt juniors, right? Dudes that had just been in the program and were ate
Wow.
up about waiting their time,
Yeah, to get
right?
their turn. Yeah.
So it just meant so much, not only for those guys, yeah, not only for the players, man, but just for everybody that like everybody goes in, everybody part of our program, and it takes everybody from the best player to the manager, and like when guys walk in every day with that mentality, and they want to work for the program, seeing that this is like a championship quality like program, it's just when you raise that trophy, man, and you get to experience everything that you do with those guys day in and day out, man, it means so much, right? And not only that, but for the alums that we had, my former teammates, guys that played before me, man, like those dudes, it meant so much to them because they know how much they put into it, right? So it was great, man. It was special, man. We're looking forward to trying to get back to that because that when you raise a trophy like that, man, that feeling is indescribable. It really is. It is, man. It's why we do what we do. It's why we do what we do. So
What are some things that fans don't see that makes Bellarmine so successful?
yeah, no, um, things that fans don't see, man. I think it's like the day in, the day out consistency, right? Of our mindset, right? We talk about 4 things, right, within our program, right? And it's like we say we have this big thing when you walk in, it says own it on our wall, right? And it's you have to own your mindset, right? Like every day, man, you work so hard at it, right? People don't understand that. Like obviously you're in college, you play college basketball, man. Like the day in, day out stuff is really, 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 really hard. It is, right? Like so people don't understand, man, how much we dive into like your mindset, right? Like your choices is number 2. We talk about you own that, right? If I own my mindset, well, every time I come in, I step foot into into Bellarmine in the nice hall. I have to own my mindset. right? And then secondly, I have to own my choices. So what did I do prior to this to give myself the best chance to go out here and have a successful practice or a successful game, right? And then the last two things we talk about is the ball in the box, right? On the court stuff. Like the ball is the most important thing. You got to own that, right? The box, we can talk a little bit about that, but that's like paint touches. Like those are the four things that we talk about. And most people, they just see balls go through the net and they see guys, dunking and the highlight tapes. But man, there's so much that goes into it from our managers doing the laundry. Like if our laundry ain't right, we don't have the right jerseys, man. We can't play our game, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, to answer your question, man, there's just so much that goes into Bellarmine basketball and why we've had our success. But the main thing is like our consistency, right? Like we talk about our accountability cue, right? Is like be us. If you see that on our social media, we talk about it a lot. It's like be us, man. Like nobody knows what that is unless you are part of the program, and it's carrying yourself, it's your mindset, it's owning your mindset, it's owning your choices. It's, how can I come in here and impact my teammates, not me, every day, right? So I know that's kind of a long-winded, man, but that's kind of how we do
No,
things at
man.
Bellarmine.
I think that's awesome. Yeah. Most people just see the ball go through the net or some kind of highlight. It's
Right,
just so
right.
much behind the scenes. How important
100%.
is player development at Bellarmine?
Oh, it's uh probably probably 2A, right? We talk about character. That's a non-negotiable, right? One that's 1A. 1B is retention, right? That's probably, and then 2A is probably is development, right? Like one of the main things that, Coach Davenport always talks about, well, Scotty Davenport, and this that we still do today is our individual instruction. We do individual instruction year round, right? So some teams as they get into like January, they are hyper focused on scouting, winning the league, this and that. Us, man, we are huge into developing, right? How can we build retention if we don't develop, right? We tell guys this all the time. Like we were bringing you here because we see you impacting winning at some point, right? So
Yeah.
development, we do year-round individual instruction. Like we double dive into that stuff because we know we've seen it. We've seen guys coming in as walk-ons and have impact on winning ASUN championships, right? So yes, I understand the transfer portal and NIL, all of that, man. We are quadrupling down on retention and development because we feel like we are the best at coaching Bellarmine basketball.
Yeah. A lot of kids look up and you think about the transfer portal and NIL. Most kids that I talk to are like, I want to go somewhere I can develop. Right.
Mhm.
So this year's team, what excites you the most about the guys this year on the team?
Oh, man, the biggest thing for me is so we have 8 guys that are returning to us. We talk about retention. That's the number one thing. Is not to say like obviously we're very excited about the other 8 guys that we got coming to us. But I'm telling you, man, I am like just right now getting the chills, man. I'm itching. We had a great 6 weeks of summer, and Kenyon Gooden, Tyler Doyle, right? Sam Donald, Jacob Wasler, Grant Whitaker, right? All of those dudes, man, they impact winning, and they decided to come back to us. And we are itching because a lot. You look at the teams in the ASUN. You go look at the other guys we're competing against. Nobody else brought back 8 guys, 4 of which are guys who had heavy minutes for us last year. So we are super, super, super excited, and that is one of the main reasons why we had a good summer is because we were able to bring back those 8 guys, right? So
Hmm.
I'm super excited because this group, man, they want to get coached. We talk about accountability. They care so much about how guys carry themselves, how guys pick each other up, how they're great teammates, how they compete. They care about all the things, and they're all about the right things. And that is what I felt in 2022. We didn't have the most talented dudes. We had guys that were ate up about being the best Bellarmine basketball player they could be. So I'm super
Just,
excited about this group.
just totally bought into the program.
100%, 100%, man.
Which some of those guys that are returning have made like the biggest improvements this offseason?
Yeah, as I would say, one dude that I say 2 guys, right? And this is no knock. I mean, these guys, I'm sure they'll probably listen in. If not, they probably won't. They probably don't care too much about me. But I would say one dude that really, I think Jacob Wasler, kid from Cincinnati, Ohio, went to St. X. up there. He's 6'10". He had a huge spring, man. Like his body, he's just worked on his body. He's very skilled. He competes. He had a really, really good spring and a very solid summer. And then another dude is Tyler Doyle, man. He's separating himself. He's a quiet leader, right? We want him to talk a little bit more. Um, but man, he's had a really, 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 really good summer. And that honestly, man, I can go down the list. Kenyon Gooden had a really good summer. Very talented, right? Sam Donald had a really good summer, man. So I mentioned, man, I'm telling you, I think Jacob Walzer he separated himself a little bit. Tyler Doyle had a good spring and summer, but I'm telling you, man, we have a really, really, really good group that we're excited to get going with.
What about some of the new guys? Have they come in and impressed you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I know we talked a little bit about Demarcus Surratt. I told you this, man. He outside of his 44.5 inch vertical, man, he's one that a lot of people say this, and I know it's like a coaching, like, the talk. He's a gamer. I mean, he really, I'm serious, man. He's a kid that when the ball goes up and it's 5-on-5, he competes really hard. He's a very smart, quick learner. He has a knack for the ball, which one of those things we talked about is very important to us, right? Getting his
Yeah.
hands on the ball, rebounding, offensive rebounding. He just impacts the game so much more than shooting and scoring. He just has that impact. So Demarcus Surratt, all of our freshmen, man, they had a really, really good, really, really solid summer. But he was one who we're really excited about, and I think he can help impact winning either next year or at some point down the road. He will impact winning with Bellarmine on his chest.
Who's emerging as the leader in the locker room?
Yeah, I'd say our Kenyon Gooden by far. Kenyon, man. He's our Kenyon Gooden and Sam Donald. Those two dudes, they lead with, they have it. Those guys that just have that leadership qualities. Those two dudes are guys that, again, when we lay our head on our pillows at night, man, we're very, very just grateful to have those two dudes. I would even throw Grant Whitaker in there, Murray, Kentucky kid. Those dudes are all about Bellarmine basketball, man. And I'm telling you, I get the chills because these dudes want to get coached hard and they care so much about our program. And that you don't get that everywhere, especially in this day and age with transfer portal. So, those three dudes are going to help us lead and hold dudes accountable and get us to where we want to be this year.
That's amazing. What kind of identity do you want this team to have?
Yeah, we want to. So last year, man, I hate talking about last year. The what ifs and whatever. With this team, our identity will be toughness. We will be much tougher, right? We will be so. You look at our numbers offensively. We led I think we were like third in effective field goal percentage. I don't think our offense will have an issue offensively. I think our biggest deal will be defensively and how tough do we want to be, right? And that's one thing we worked on this summer, man, was like when the game is nice and flowing and it's pretty, Bellarmine basketball, man, we look great, right? When dudes get after you and it gets a little chippy and it's a little ugly, that's where we've struggled. So we tried to simulate that this summer, and I thought our guys did a phenomenal job of taking that on and understanding that we need to work on that. But our biggest MO, man, it's gonna be toughness, man. We are going to be the most committed team, the most connected team, and the most competitive team. That's one thing that we try to drive home this summer is those three C's, man: committed, connected, and competitive. So that's what we're going to harp on this year.
Is there one player that fans may not know about that could have a breakout season?
Yeah, I would say, man, that's one that's tough. I think again, we have 8 guys, man, 4 of which are returning. I think one that I'll say is probably one that people may Grant Neal. Okay, he's the North Oldham kid. He's out of Kentucky. He's one that I would, just have our fans just keep an eye on, man. He's intriguing, man. We did the 3 minute run. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but the NBA does where how many touches can you get in 3 minutes straight, right?
Yeah.
And Grant Neal, man, he's just dude, he got a 29 in like a half, 29 and a half. And this dude he's ate up at competing, man. He's competitive, right? And he's a walk-on for us, but I could see him coming in and having an impact on us winning. Um, so that's one that will probably could have a breakout year, probably that guys people aren't expecting. But I think all like I said, all those these guys that I've name dropped, I think they all have a chance. And I'm not just saying that because I'm coaching them. I do. I think they put in a lot of work and they deserve it. So I think all those dudes have a chance to have a year that some maybe aren't expecting to have. So
What do you think it'll take for you guys to compete for another ASUN championship?
yeah, I think it's rebounding, man. I think on the defensive side, we have to be much more tough. We got to be much more tougher. We got to keep the ball out of the box. We got to try to turn teams over, man. We got to rebound. And I think since we've added Coach Jeff Rutter to our staff, man, he's a phenomenal coach. He's been around a long time. Like he's kind of around that Michigan State coaching tree, man. So, I think those are the things. I think we have to be significantly better on the defensive side, and it starts with our mentality. I said toughness. So, if we can do those things and we can compete and be a lot more tougher on the backboard, I think offensively, man, I think we won't shock anybody because we've always been good offensively. But defensively, we have to take steps forward. Owning, just taking more pride and having more toughness on the ball and rebounding.
So let's talk recruiting. Walk us through Bellarmine's recruiting philosophy.
Yeah, yeah. Recruiting, man, for us, it's again, I talked about this a little bit previously. It's like the non-negotiable is like the character piece, right? It's like, very quickly for me when I'm recruiting a kid, you get there early, whether it's an AAU or a high school. We like to recruit high school just because it simulates more of college basketball, right? AAU, man, you get up and down on a Sunday morning, man, like you don't know what you're gonna get. You know what I mean? You just don't know.
It's true.
Um, it's so true, right? So for us, man, like for me, it's non-negotiable from a character standpoint. How do you impact your teammates? Are you impacting your teammates? Are you impacting winning? And the very first thing how I could tell you're impacting teammates is, what are you doing in the warm-up line? Are you kind of too cool for school? Are you kind of going through the motions? Or are you the guy that's, hey, let's go? You're rah-rah, right? You're giving dudes high fives and warm-ups, you're getting rebounds, you're snapping passes. Those are the dudes that I can quickly weed out and be like, oh yeah, I like him. Because those are the guys that when it gets to January and dudes are a little banged up and they got sores and they got bruises, those are the dudes that have that same energy in January that I'm like, I need that dude, man. I want to coach that guy, right? So those are typically the guys we look for. And obviously, we haven't talked like personnel specifically, but obviously it's got to be, if I'm looking for a point guard, I got to go get a point guard, right? I can't go get a 6'10" dude that can't,
Yeah.
bring the ball to the floor, right? But for us, man, it's like the character piece, right? How are you impacting your teammates? And then those things, man, where the dudes like warm ups, are they standing up? Are they the loudest one on the bench? Are they talking to dudes? Those are the guys that I've seen come to Bellarmine and they've had an impact on winning. And we're not gonna budge. Like if the dude's talented and he's the cool guy in warmups, I'm taking a dude that's less talented, that is all about picking his teammates up, being there, rah rah, all about those things. Because at the end of the day, and you're in February and you're trying to win, especially at this level. Now, obviously, the Dukes of the worlds, that's different. It's totally different. But when you're in the A Sun and you got to play on Thursday night in February, then you got to turn around and play on Saturday. Those are the dudes that I like to go to war with because it's like I don't gotta wake up in the morning and be like, hey, I gotta get this dude going through walkthrough. These dudes are already there early, hey coach, rah rah, hey, let's do it. Those are the dudes I like to go to war with. So from a recruiting standpoint, man, those are the guys we like to go after. The dudes that are the loudest in the gym. They're putting their teammates first, they're the first to the floor, they rebound the ball, right? They just do all of those things, man, that like either you got it or you don't, right? So though that's typically what we're looking for when it comes to recruiting, if we're not talking like personnel specific.
What catches your attention first when you're evaluating a recruit?
It's that, like I said,
Just
man, it's
that.
it's it's that. It's like I'm serious. I'm really mean this. I've watched a kid more recently that we really liked, and I'm like, man, I think he's uber talented. But he just it's he didn't have the I think he was when you are so worried about yourself, is you can get lost in not helping your teammates, not winning, right? You're so worried about my next move versus our next move, the team's next move, right? So that's the first thing I look for. And it's a non-negotiable because here's the thing. It's funny. I talk to Coach Doug Davenport about this, our head coach all the time. He's very me and him are very similar in a sense of we like guys that are raw guys that are out there. Man, they're just itching to make their teammates better. They're itching to just be talking. When you don't have those guys, and I feel like I'm louder than them, it irks me because I'm like, man, I would take this shirt off right now and I'd do whatever I could to get that jersey back on, right? So why go after dudes that are uber talented that I know aren't going to bring that versus I get to choose who comes in this program. I'm gonna go after the dudes that are itching, right? And it's hard because not everybody has that, but we try to get as close to that as possible. When when I'm looking and I'm evaluating, that's like the first thing that I'm looking at, especially in warmups.
What separates the guys that get offers or receive offers from those that don't?
Yeah, I think it can be a combination of things. I think obviously I'll say this: the one thing for me, and that to answer your question, I think the guys that know what they're good at and they try to do what they're good at, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? If you go into a game and you know you're not good at something and you're trying to show somebody that you can do that, knowing you're not good at that, you're not going to win, right? That shows me alone you're not trying to win the game. Now, versus, for example, I wasn't a great shooter, but I was a great defender and I thought I was a very decent, I was a very good playmaker. So I'm gonna guard the ball, I'm gonna keep the ball out of the paint, and I'm gonna go try to find paint touches. I'm gonna go try to spray it out to my shooters or drop off to our bigs. And if I do that, I'm trying to win the game because I know that's what I'm really good at, right? So if you want to separate yourself, man, know what you're not to say that you shouldn't be working on things that you need to work on, but when you get into competing, man, when it's competition, I should never try to go do something I know I'm not good at. I'm gonna stick to what I know I can do
So just
and let
know
the
your
rest
role.
know your role, man. You and everybody think about it, man. We always talk about this to our campers. There's 16 dudes on the roster. How many dudes are the leading scorer? It's one guy. You get one
Hmm.
dude that's a leading scorer. So not everybody's gonna lead, man. Not everybody's gonna be the leading scorer. It's amazing. It's amazing how many kids think that they don't think like that. They're like, man, he's not wrong. It's amazing, right? So everybody, you watch dudes you see dudes in the NBA all the time. You see guys that are starring in their role. You got to be a star in your role, and your role's not always gonna be the same. You have guys that have led in scoring, and maybe one game or the second half of the season, it's not scoring. It's I'm am I guarding? And first off, am I a great teammate? Second off, am I guarding? Am I rebounding? Right? Am I impacting winning? Right? So those are the things, especially at Bellarmine, man, that we harp on to our players now is like, if you want to get recruited, man, how are you going to impact winning? Do what you know you do really well, and then be a great teammate and let the rest fall where it should.
Yeah, it's totally different. When you go to college, you got to know your role and do that role, or you don't have to be the guy that puts 20 in the basket because not a coach doesn't need five of those on the team. So
Right. 100%, man. 100%. 100%.
how much does basketball IQ matter to you guys?
It matters. It does matter. I mean, you can quickly, especially like for us, like you talk about, you watch our style of play, cutting, right? We talk about, this is one thing we talk about offensively is sacrificial cuts. But everything we do, man, is how are you impacting your teammates, right? So, when you talk about IQ, even guys that are willing to cut, think about this. I know there's times even when I played, there were times at Bellarmine I knew I was gonna cut and I wasn't going to get the ball. But I was gonna let my teammate behind me was gonna be able to get a shot. Right. And you talk about that's a mixture of right IQ, but also having enough like, hey man, we're trying to win the game. Like I'm trying to put my teammates first. I want to help my teammates, right? So IQ is super important for us, and we teach, man. We're like we dive into teaching, man. Like if you see the back of a defender's head, you're cutting, right? If we deck it middle, where you're spacing, right? You're spacing, then you space again, now you cut. So IQ is super important, but I will say this, man. If you're the feel of that, if you can be taught and like you have a good feel of basketball for the most part, man, you could succeed at Bellarmine, right? So IQ is important, but also learning, watching, picking up on certain things that we're trying to get across, that's equally important as well, which I guess you could say is part of IQ. So yeah, I mean, it's important.
I think you've already answered this question. What role does character play in the program?
It's huge, man. It really is. It's honestly it's a non-negotiable. That's the one thing we tell our guys when we recruit them. We say there's two things that we will guarantee you. Number one, you won't play with assholes. We say it. I mean, if there's if mom's in the room, mom, please excuse our language here. You won't play with assholes. You won't. I promise you. That's we get to decide who comes in the program. That's number one. Number two is we will play the best five, the five guys that we think give us the best chance on that day when the ball is going to be tipped in the air. Those are the two promises that we make. So character means so much to us, and I'm telling you, man, like it's just funny because the outside people that look in, they see the success that we've had, and they think it's all just talent, and it's not that, man. It's the character piece from a standpoint of we talk about owning your mindset, right? Owning your choices. If you can do those two things, man, a lot of times, right, you're gonna have good days. When you can put good days together, you're gonna together good practices. When you can put together good practices, you're gonna put together good games, right? There's
Yeah.
levels to it, right? So character is it is it's not even just character. I hate saying character because everybody says it. It's it's your impact on winning and your impact on being a great teammate. Those are the kind of guys that's super important for us.
How much of a role does social media play in your guys' recruitment today?
It's something that I look at, right? And like it is like social media is important, man. Because I'll say this: if you were ate up, not to say like everybody, social media is so impactful nowadays, man. It's 2026, right? You can see a kid, their video a kid, and he had a good game, so everybody wants to go watch him, right? But it's just like you running a business, an organization. Before you bring somebody on, you got to make sure what they're posting aligns with what you align with, right? So if I see a kid that's all about, not to say that you can post your highlights, it's not that extreme. But if you see a kid that's you can tell like he's overly ate up about himself, it's probably not going to be a good fit at Bellarmine. You may be a good fit somewhere else, and you may be good enough to play at Bellarmine, but it's not going to be a good fit for us, right? So to answer your question, social media is important, and we definitely do our homework from that standpoint, just to make sure they align with what we're all about.
What are recruits posting that could hurt them?
Uh, like I said, man, like maybe well, number one, it's like the simple stuff. Like, okay, first off, if I'm going out and I'm out and about and I'm doing things that I shouldn't be doing, right? That's number one, right? And then number two could be possibly like just almost posting so much about yourself, right? That like look at me, look at me, look at me, versus just let that stuff. Man, listen, man, if you're a good player and you're all about the right things, I promise you, man, whether it may not be at this moment, but at some point down the road, you will end up where you're supposed to be. It's just amazing how it works, right? So, those are typically like the two things that could, find yourself, losing, we say losing in a recruitment or losing the schools that are following you or reaching out to you or those probably those two things.
What should they be posting?
That's a good question, man. Those are good questions, man. That's a good question. I would say, man, I honestly, from just be yourself, man. Like as you can see behind me, man, I got my family behind me. Post what's important to you. Just be yourself, man. I have three kids. My three kids are very, very important to me, right? Landon, Kyla, and Nellie. They're very important to me. My wife, Taylor, she's very important to me, right? I spend a lot of time with family. My brothers are important to me, right? So if you're posting your family, just be yourself. What's important to you, right? If you can do those things, if you just post what's important to you, if basketball is important to you, post it, man. Like if you like to work out, if you like to do what you do, post that. If family's important to you, if food's important to you, post those things. But when it gets like out of control where you're doing things that like maybe may rub, just be yourself. At the end of the day, you see people transferring because they're not themselves or they went somewhere that they were promised this and they didn't get that, right? And what happened to college basketball where you could go somewhere where what you value aligned with that program and that institution, and then you stay there that entire time, and it wasn't about, man, maybe I'm getting this life-changing money. Maybe it was about, man, building the memories and the
Money.
and the right, like, but that's what's right. That's what it is. So it's like, what happened to those days, man? I learned so much, man. So many foundational things that I learned in my time, right? I don't want to sound like the old guy in the room, but those things were important. So what happened to those, right? So, just be yourself. Post what's important to you, what you value, and I think the rest you'll be able to put yourself in a good spot.
How much weight does academics carry?
It carries a lot of weight too. Obviously, Bellarmine's a high academic institution. It does carry a lot of weight, man. I'll say the one thing about education, especially, is like there's a lot of carryover, right? Like foundational things. Are you looking people in the eyes? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Right? Do you follow up? Do if a professor hits you email, hey, you got this going on, like, are you following up? Are you on all of those foundational things? If you can do that, you can be a pretty solid student, right? So education is super important, but I'll say this: you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to succeed in the classroom. You don't, right?
You
You
just
have
have
to
to show
be
up.
you gotta show up, right? Two, you gotta follow up, right? And then three, man, you do have to you have to give effort, man. You have to try. If you do those three things, man, show up, follow up, and give effort, a lot of times, man, you're gonna put yourself in a good spot to where you can have some success in the classroom.
Yeah, I really believe that. How important are parents throughout the recruiting process?
Super important too. And they're very important. And a lot of times it's tough, man, because obviously parenting is very important, right? Like we always say this all the time. You are, you are what you are taught, right? So like a lot of kids that we recruit is very, you always say, you hear the old adage, man, like the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree,
Don't far
right?
from the
So
truth.
right. So parenting is super important. And you can, I'm gonna say this really, like, I've been doing this for 8 years, just in the college ranks. I can tell really quickly. Very, like, I can tell on a first conversation whether that kid's parent is gonna have an impact on his success in college, right? Whether it be positive or negative. I can tell very, very quickly. So parenting is super important. My advice, I would say, man, is like, if my son was in college today and I tell him this, and I try to tell him this all the time, I try not to act like I have all the answers. This is solely off my experience and what I see. If my son was in college trying to get a scholarship today, I would say, man, run your own race. Work really, really hard at what you want and run your own race. If it may not, if you tell me you want something, what are you willing to do to get that? Right? For me, when I wanted it, I said I wanted to play college basketball. It took me traveling to Mason City, Iowa, right? Mason City, I didn't know where Mason City, Iowa was. It took me, I wanted to play basketball that bad. It took me to go there and have 2 good years there. Then it took me to Louisville, Kentucky at Bellarmine, right? So my advice, man, would be, man, run your own race. You never know. If you keep doing the right things, man, and you trust in yourself and you really believe and work at your craft, it's amazing what the doors open, man. You do the right things, man. Those doors will open. So that's super huge as parenting, man, is and we again, I can tell very quickly the impact they have.
Communication. How valuable is communication with coaches?
It's important too, man. Like it's just one thing that I wish I can. I'm glad that we're on here, Cody, because I think we can really help kids. If a coach hits you, and I get it, kids are it's a different age. We're FaceTime or Instagram. If a coach hits you, man, like it's important and you may be in the gym, you got to hit them as soon as you get back to your phone, man. You got to respond, right? So then communication is super important, and I think it's we're in a world, man, where these kids they're either they on social media, their avenues of communication are totally different than texting or calling or you know what I mean. So communication is super super important, not only for coaches, man. It's the foundation. Like if somebody reaches out to me, I should be following up with them. I should be responding to them, right? It's the right thing to do, right? Um, so communication is super huge, and that's something that we drive home to our players, man. Is like you, man, especially at Bellarmine, it's like when somebody reaches out to you, you make sure you follow up and you respond back, and make sure that you are doing the right thing as far as communicating with them.
What are some of the biggest mistakes players make during recruiting?
Yeah, number one is go first off. They go somewhere because they get to post about it. They go somewhere because they get to tell people. I think that's number one. Number two, probably close would be going somewhere where the money, right? Unless it's like, and even for me, man, I'll make the argument if it's not, even if it was life changing money, I still think, especially like money money does not make you happy, man. It's
Mm-mm.
who you're around, it's the environment you're in, it's the people who make you who you are, right? So those are the two things. Is like that's usually like the main things. Is like they're so quick to post something about where they're going that they don't really dive in, right? And then two is like they go where they get paid the most money, right? Those are probably the most two. Instead of really diving into How can this place impact me as a young man? Right? Does this place align with the values that I have? Can I see myself growing here? Can I see myself being a good teammate here? Can I see myself having impact on winning? Right? Those are the things that they should be looking into. And I'm telling you, if you're that good of a player, the money will find you on the back end. Based off of go do your research. Kids that have started at NAIAs, right? They've ended up at division ones and have, made their money on the back end, right? But they followed where they thought, all of the things that I just listed made sense, right? Instead of doing it backwards where they go somewhere where they got the most money and then on the back end they're scrambling because they want to transfer, but they don't have nowhere else to go, right? So those are mainly the two main things that are mostly misconstrued in recruiting.
Yeah, I think it's the microwave society that we're in. Like, gotta have it now instead of work
Got to
for it
have
and
it
get it.
now.
Instead of work for it and
Yep.
get it later. Another one I see is worried about someone else's race. Like, why is he
Hmm.
getting those offers? And instead of putting 100% energy in their self, they're
Hmm.
spending energy on worried about their teammate and their high school teammate or the AAU teammate. I'm better
Hmm.
than him. Why is he getting these offers and I'm not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Diving into things like that instead of their self.
100%, man, and it's hard. I get it though, man. Listen, it's a little bit different. Like like I'm coming up, I didn't have the resources to even see that, right?
Yeah.
So it is so much harder, man, and so it's a lot harder, easier said than done, man. But it's so true. It's like if you run your own race, I promise you, and you really, really, bet on yourself, it's amazing what will come out of it, right? If you worried about other people, man, it's where that's like the number one thing to get you just put you in a really, really tough spot, right? And I just said it, man. It's the availability of the resources. It's social media. It's like it's very hard because you see these kids and you're like, man, I think I'm better than him, right? But you're not factoring in all of the things we just talked about. Is that place a good fit for me? Can I find myself? Is the style of play a good fit for me? Is the coaching style a good fit for me? Is it where is it at in relation to my home? There's so many things that go into it. Everybody's race is different. You got to run your own.
Player development. What separates D1 players from everyone else?
Yeah, I think obviously I think I touched on this is consistency. I think it is. I think it's consistency. I think it's really, really working on your game. But it's also like there are obviously physical intangibles that you have to be a Division 1 player, right? Like there's something there it's just what it is, man. Like, God gifted you with what you have and sometimes it just doesn't work out in your favor, right? From a Division 1 standpoint as far as athleticism. But the main thing is just being consistent, right? Like you have to really, really, really work hard at it. And this is something that we challenge our guys at Bellarmine. We have this thing, we have the gun club, right? And the gun club is it's we chart the amount of shots that you get up outside of practice, right? And it's got to be with a manager, it's got to be with either a manager or a teammate, and they chart it. And at the end of the summer, every day you walk into Knights Hall, you walk into the Knights Hall and into our locker room, we have a 1 through 16 gun club measurement, right? And the goal is to everybody to get make at least 6,000 shots in the summer in our 6 weeks. So 1,000 a week, right? And you'll be amazed when you walk in every day and you see where you are on the charts. You're like, okay, where am I at? I can't tell myself I really want this, but I'm number 16, right? Because no matter what, somebody will be number 16, right? There will be. And there will be somebody that's number one, right? So, and that all ties back into being consistent, right? Is getting shots up, working on my game. Because everything we do, man, it's not enough, right? To separate you. So you got to work on your game. You got to be very, very consistent.
What are some habits that your best players have?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I think number one habit that I think our best players that I talk about is what I told you is talking is just having that like I don't know the word for it right now. It may be like the aura of just like how they carry themselves, how they talk to their teammates. Like when I tell them one thing, they can go out and tell the rest of the guys, right? Like the Kenyon Goodens and the Sam Donalds of the world. So those dudes just they have that, right? That it factor where it's just like the talk, the leadership. Um, those are like the intangibles, man, that like every coach dreams of. And you don't get them often. You really don't. So when you do get them, man, you gotta cherish those guys because it's one thing that's like it's hard to come by. right? So I would say like talking and just being ate up at being a great teammate and leading for sure.
You've answered this question. How important is consistency? Can you reiterate that again?
Yeah, it's important, man. It's like because at the end of the day, everybody, if you tell me you want to, and when I say consistency, consistency is when you're tired and when you're sore, when you may not feel well, right? Everybody goes through that. It's like that's part of consistency. That's me showing up when I don't feel well. That's me showing up when I may be a little banged up, a little bruised up, right? That's important, man. Like you know what you and one of the main reasons that people don't talk about this when it gets to March, everybody is feeling that way. Just so you know, you know what I mean. Like now,
Yeah.
if you get to March in college and you feel fresh, it's not realistic, right? So that's how important consistency is. It's performing when you aren't 100%, right? Those are the guys that separate themselves. Those are the guys that we had in our 2022 ASUN championship. Those are the guys that I think we have in our locker room this year. Is like guys that show up even when they don't feel their greatest, right? That's consistency.
What are some skills that you think young guards are missing today?
I would say, man, guards. I think there's probably I would say the biggest slept on thing for me is guarding. Like I think guarding the basketball can separate you. And I know, people say guarding the ball is it's such a broad statement, but keeping the ball on your chest in front of you, right? I think that is one thing that guards are missing. Like if you can do that, right? Shooting, you get to college, man, you're gonna take how many shots you get up in college, if you're a horrible shooter, you're gonna become if you work hard at it, you can become an adequate shooter, right? But it's like it's the defending, right? If you can't guard, it's very hard to find yourself as a guard on the floor, especially if you're small, right? Like if you're not separating yourself by getting deflections, first to the floor, hands on balls, rebounds, guarding, keeping the ball on my chest, if you can't do those things, it's very hard to find yourself on a college floor when it matters, right? When winning matters.
What are some skills that forwards and bigs need to improve on that in ball today?
Yeah, for us, man, you watch our bigs, and we joke about this because we have a transfer that's come to us, man, and I see him, and I'm like, man, he's so talented, but he was so used to running and screaming and just rolling. I'm like, bro, I'll say this, bigs and wings, find yourself on the perimeter. Be comfortable catching the ball. And this sounds crazy because a lot of dudes can't do this. Find yourself catching the ball on the wing, establishing the correct pivot foot, facing up, and be getting in a triple threat. That sounds crazy, but there's a lot of bigs that obviously like they can't do that, right? And for us, like our bigs, we have five guys that we play 4 round 1, and it's all interchangeable. And that is one thing that bigs struggle with is catching the ball on the perimeter and being a threat, right? And obviously, like when you say being a threat, you got to be able to pass the ball, you got to be able to dribble the ball, and you got to be able to obviously shoot it, right? So I would say that's one thing that like bigs for us, especially now. Obviously, other bigs where they have dudes that are 6'10", just rim runners, they're rim protectors, that may be a little bit different. But for us, we challenge our bigs to be able to be a threat on the perimeter, right? Being able to post, throw the ball on the post, right? Blast, try to get a cut to the rim, go behind heads, right? Cut when you see the back defenders' heads, like because let's put it this way: a lot of bigs aren't used to being on the perimeter, right? They're so used to being inside. So that's one thing that I would encourage, man. Like if you can get on the perimeter and space and cut and just be comfortable out there catching it on wings while you're getting pressured, that's one thing that can separate you very quickly as a big or a bigger wing for sure.
I want to talk about film. How much film do your players watch?
Oh, we watch a lot of film. That we do. We watch a lot of film. Now, obviously, as a team in the summer, not so much. Um, but when you get into, each person, each assistant coach on our staff has a core group, right? And that core group is usually, we got 16 dudes on the team. You got either about 4 to 5 guys on in your core, and you're watching film every day. Like every day I get here, we every day I come home from practice. I download our practice film on Sports Code, and I'm watching film. I'm watching all my core guys. I'm clipping stuff. I'm showing them. I mean, it is a daily deal, and our guys all have access to
Oh no.
sports code. It is a very, especially with us, man. It is very very important.
What about strength training? You guys lift a lot?
Oh yeah, yeah, we do. We have. I always joke about this, man. We have one of the best strength coaches in the country. I really mean this, man. Joe Griffin. Shout out to my man Joe Griffin. He was our solely our strength coach for Bellarmine. He actually just got a new role for us. He's actually our director of sports performance, and he's going to handle some of our operation stuff. That is one of the biggest separators is strength and conditioning, man. Like that was one thing that we thought we needed to take a step forward on is our strength is our conditioning especially, but strength and conditioning is super super important, more so for high school kids that come into college, man. When you come to college, you're 18, 19 years old, you're playing against 23, 24 year olds, right? It's a different ball game, man. So, being ate up about getting stronger, taking care of your body, what you put in your body, what you take, what comes out of you, all of that stuff, man, is super, super, super pivotal, especially at the college level.
If you had 1 hour in the gym with a recruit, what would you focus on?
Mm, that's a good question, man. Man, that's a great question. If I had 1 hour in the gym, I think, man, I would honestly, I would put them through probably an individual, like what we would do through an individual instruction, right? Because, and the main thing we do in our individuals is the things that I just said. Can you pass, right? Can you shoot the ball, right? Can you catch the ball? Can you catch the ball on a triple threat, establish a pivot foot, and drive the basketball, right? Or can you shoot it? So if I had an hour, man, I would put them through an individual and work on those things because those are the foundational things. Like if you, I say this and I really mean this, man. There are dudes in college that can't do this. They cannot catch the ball. For us, we teach our if I'm left-handed. So if I catch a ball, I step right left every single time into my every time I catch the ball, I step right left. If I'm right-handed, I step left right. In my right foot, I establish my pivot foot. You will be amazed how many guys can't do that, but you see them on social media and they can do, this between the leg, behind the back, all this stuff, but they can't do that, right? So I would, and if I had an hour, man, I would put them through an individual instruction, man, and just work on just not, I don't say little things, we say simple things. Can you catch the ball, rip it low, jab, establish a pivot foot, and drive the ball in a straight line and be athletic at the rim? Can I step the same way into a jump shot and make 5 out of 7? Right? Can I space away now? And then when I space away, I catch it and I run through the ball and go be athletic at the rim, right? All of those things that are not little, they're simple, but I would do those things because those are like, you don't have a lot of time and space on the college floor, man. You have, a split second to make decisions, right? So all of those things I would put them through because that's what translates to the game.
College basketball today. How has the transfer portal changed recruiting for you guys?
Yeah. It's changed. It definitely has changed, mainly because we've lost some guys that obviously have went on to have really good college careers. But for us, I said this to you already. It we are building this thing off of retention, right? So we brought in 6 freshmen this year. That's all you need to know. We all Coach Doug Davenport always says this. While everybody's zigging, we're gonna zag. How can I tell you this, Cody? I tell you this. We're big into development, but I'm gonna go get a transfer who, was really good. That's not to say that we don't get transfers. We took 2 transfers this year, Julius Gizzy and Tucker Tornado, who I think we had previous relationships with. We recruited, but it's hard for me to say, hey, we're gonna double down on development, but let me go recruit over these freshmen and these guys that we brought in and go get 5 transfers, right? So we are gonna build this thing off of retention because we are all about development, right? And we're all about guys that are about helping their teammates and impacting winning.
How has NIL changed recruiting?
It's changed, man. Like everybody talks about it, right? It's the conversation that kid it's funny in recruiting, oh, it's not about the money. Then on that last day, it's hey, can I get this? You know what I mean? So
Can
it's
I get
impacted. I
this?
mean, yeah, it's impacted us. Obviously, like we're working at it. NIL for us is we're a little bit on the low end, but for us, man, it's hard for me to go get. We talk about this. We talk about retention. it's hard for me to go pay a kid that's coming from a different spot versus a dude that's given me 3 years and has been ate up about Bellarmine basketball, right? So that, NIL again, while everybody's zigging and paying dudes to come, and I'm gonna zag, and I say we are gonna zag and quadruple down on retention and dudes that have been with us and that are ate up about winning and all about Bellarmine basketball, right? Not to say that we won't get transfers, because we brought two in, but we are going to take care of the guys that have been with us and that have, given us, everything that they have over somebody that's, coming in and is a transfer. So that's where we're gonna live and die by that.
Well, my next question is about like high school recruits. With the transfer portal, it's so hard for a high school kid to get offers.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a high school recruit or player, worried about the portal taking, roster spots?
Yeah, I would say this, man. Go somewhere where somebody wants you. Go somewhere where somebody wants you. You know why? Because I'll tell you this, they're gonna pour everything they have into you, right? And it may not be Division One. It may not be, man. But hey, I'll tell you this, they're gonna pour into you, right? There's potential. You have opportunities to play, right? Why do you go to college? You go to college to play, right? You don't go to college basketball to say, hey, hey, I'm gonna go here and not play, right? So I would encourage, man, high school kids, like it's unfortunate, especially with the new rule that passed. But I'm gonna say this, man, go somewhere where you're wanted, go somewhere where, again, I talk about this, where your values and that align with the institution and the program. Go somewhere where you can see yourself. Again, I keep saying this, and I know it's getting a little annoying, but it's go somewhere where you can see yourself impacting other teammates. Go somewhere where you can see yourself impacting winning, because those nobody remembers the guy that goes to the team that finished 12th in the league. Nobody cares about those guys. Nobody cares about this. You know who they do care about? They care about the 2022 ASUN champions that everybody gets to talk about. And they say, man, you remember when you coached CJ Fleming? You remember when you coached Ethan Claycomb? I start name dropping these dudes, right? Dylan Pins. They remember those dudes, right? Those are the dudes that stayed and went somewhere where they were wanted as Division two players, and then luckily had a chance to compete at the Division one level, and then proved everybody wrong that, hey, I actually can play and win at this level, right? So I would just say, man, go where you're wanted. Go where you see, yourself having impact there.
How difficult is roster management today with all that going on?
Yeah, it's hard, and for us, it's roster management. For us is retention. It's hard
Yeah.
for us. It's hard for me to develop a guy, and then we don't get me wrong, we want them to be successful, and then they get told, hey, you have a chance to get some life-changing money, right? So that's where we see the difficulties, right? And I'll say this, even recruiting transfers, it's speed dating, right? So when I recruit high school kids, I'm in there recruiting these dudes for 1, 2, 2.5 years, right? And you got these transfers and you're recruiting them for 3 weeks, and then you got to be able to decide whether this dude's going to come in here and really help, right? So those are the two biggest things, is obviously losing guys, right? Because I keep driving home the retention side. And then number two is when you try to get transfers, it's like speed dating. So you got to make sure these guys are the right fit for you.
Yeah, most definitely. What about where do you think college basketball is heading over the next 5 years with this new rule?
Yeah. I think this is all I always talk about this, because I really believe this, man. There's levels to college basketball. Bellarmine University and everybody knows this, but they don't talk about it enough. Bellarmine University and Duke University and the University of Duke, they're totally two different things, right? It's different, right? So for us, man, and I'm gonna speak for us specifically because I'm at this level right now. For our level, man, low to mid major, I think it will impact the high school kids obviously the most, because those are the kids that obviously have the best chance of coming in and getting recruited, right? If you're a Power Five guy and you're getting recruited by Power Fives, you're usually a top 100 dude, right? Those are
Yeah.
different. Those are
Yeah.
those are game changers. Those are different dudes, right? Those are the big wigs. For us, man, it's like you just said and what we just talked about. That's impacting. This is now impacting you know, our level, where guys, maybe you don't take a high school kid, maybe they end up taking a transfer kid that, has his fifth year. Um, so, for me, man, I think it impacts, and I think it's these programs have to decide where they want to go, what they want to do. For us, my goal is I want to keep five. If we shoot 5 years, man, I want to keep guys for 5 years. I think that we've had successful dudes that have been with us the longest, right? So that's where I to answer your question fully, I don't know where it impacts. I think it'll be different at the levels, but for us, I think it'll obviously impact high school kids. But I don't think we'll waver on trying to go and get high school kids and develop them into having impact on our program.
Let's have a little fun with rapid fire. Your favorite
Okay,
NBA player growing up?
favorite NBA player. When I saw these, man, man, I saw these. I like these. I was like, man, this is gonna make me think. So I gotta be on it with these rapid fire. So my favorite NBA player growing up, man, I was like Allen. I loved Allen Iverson, man. I was an Allen. He had so much impact on us, man. We had the sleeves, had the headbands. I couldn't have the cornrows, but I would say he was probably one of my favorites to watch and just try to like simulate. You know,
What about your favorite current NBA player?
My favorite. This is funny. My son is gonna probably, if he probably won't watch this. Obviously, he's 9. But so I used to be Luca. I would say now is Cade Cunningham. I like Cade Cunningham, man. Like he's got good size. He can pass it. He can shoot it. He tries to guard. He's one of my favorites to watch nowadays for sure.
The toughest player you've ever coached?
Mm. I say the toughest player. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I got two dudes that I was like, man, like these dudes. They brought it. I would say Justin Betts. Okay, he's a Southern Indiana kid. Didn't have a whole lot of offers. Ends up walking on. Ends up earning a scholarship. Ends up helping us win an ASUN championship. So I'd say he's number one. Um, I'd say number two. eh, it's kind of hard because I mean we've had so many tough dudes, but I would say probably CJ Fleming. He's an Ohio kid. Um, just man, he was just tough, man. He's like this 6 foot little white guard that dudes just passed up on, and we end up taking him. And he just has so much, man. He did so much for our program, just so tough. So those are probably the two dudes that I would list.
Toughest player you've ever played against?
I would say toughest player I ever played against was easily Donovan Mitchell by far. We played them in an exhibition, Bellarmine versus Louisville, and uh, it's funny because people see Donovan Mitchell now, but when he was a freshman, at Louisville, like people didn't really didn't know who he really was. Then he had his breakout year, sophomore year. But when I played against Donovan Mitchell, man, I quickly realized I was like, yo, this dude is gonna be a really, really good player. I don't know, I didn't know he's gonna be what he is now, obviously, what he's doing in the NBA. But he was by far one of the toughest players I've ever played against.
Favorite basketball movie?
Favorite basketball movie, man. I would say this is kind of like a cliche one, man. I like Coach Carter, man. I love Coach Carter. It's kind of like you watch it nowadays. It's a little cheesy, but I used to have my twin and I. We would have Coach Carter just in the DVD player. It would just play. It just play all the time. So I would say that's probably one of my favorite basketball
You're a
movies.
twin too?
I do, yeah. I have a twin. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me too. That's pretty cool, man.
That's awesome.
Uh,
Are you the older twin?
yeah,
There you go. We're team older twins. I love that, man. I love
yeah.
that.
I don't like to be last, man. I got to come out first.
I love that. I love that.
What about your favorite college basketball arena or gym?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I would say I'll say this because I played in it and people don't understand. They don't understand the impact it has. I'd say Assembly Hall, man. We played against those guys my first year at Bellarmine when they had like Yogi Ferrell, Thomas
Oh,
Bryant. Bro, I'm gonna tell you, Thomas Bryant blocks a shot off the glass. And I'm losing thought on my man. The first, I think it's Terrence. It's not Terrence Williams. His last name is Williams, number 5. So I remember they pitch it ahead to him. He cocks the ball back and dunks it. And I kid you not, I brought the ball to the floor. The floor was shaking. It was
oh,
shaking. It was that loud in there, man. So I would say simply all by far, man. It's a pretty cool spot if you get to play in there and be in there.
favorite road trip in the ASUN?
Mm. Favorite road trip. This my favorite road trip, man, is Jacksonville. And the reason why I say that is because that's where the ASUN championship is. And that's where I hope we're hosting a championship. That's where I hope we hosting that trophy, man. I think that'll be special.
What about your favorite pregame meal?
Favorite pregame meal, man. Coach Joe, I was just talking about, shout out to Coach Joe, Joe Griffin, man. We eat pretty healthy, man. So I would say anything with like grilled chicken, some form of a green in there, green beans, whatever it may be, broccoli, and then like mashed potatoes, something starchy. I'm kind of picky, man, but for me, man, I'm just grateful to be able to eat. So I would say something like that. Grilled chicken, steak, that's usually a go-to.
What about the kicks? What's your favorite sneakers?
Favorite sneaker, man, I would say is the Air Jordan low ones. I have like four pairs of those, man. Those are just the most, you can wear them with anything. They're comfortable. Um, that's my go-to is probably the AJ1 lows for sure.
One word to describe Bellarmine basketball.
Man, I saw this, man. This was hard for me. I got to cheat on this one because uh, it's hard to say one word, man. I'm gonna use the three things that we have our guys. We challenged our guys to come up with three things that would embody our program, and they came up with committed, connected, and competitive, right? And we challenged them. We said, hey, you got to come up with those three things, but you have to tell us how you're going to show those things, right? You get these teams where they say family, right? Family, or together, right? You say these things, and it's like we tried to embody, like, hey, when we come up with this, how are you going to show those things, right? How are you going to show that you're committed to this program, right? And it's simple things as, man, when I show I'm committed, man, I'm showing up and I'm on time, right? I'm on time early. I'm checking on my teammates. That's showing I'm committed. How are you going to show you connected? Well, if I got to wear a black top with the right Bellarmine shirt or shorts, and I got to wear the correct sneakers, that's what I'm gonna wear. I'm connected. Everybody in here looks the same, right? And then a competitive thing is like it's our accountability, right? It's like it's our accountability cue. Be us. Hey man, you're not competing at the right level, man. You don't have your mind right, man. You didn't have the right choices. So I would say those three things, man. I had to cheat on that one. Is obviously being committed, being connected, and being competitive. Those are the three things that are Bellarmine basketball.
That's awesome. This is for the recruits. Some advice for the recruits. What's one piece of advice that you would give every 2027 or 2028 recruit right now, seniors and juniors?
Yeah. We talked about this. I would say stay off social media. Stay off social media. I challenge you. Get rid of it. Just get rid of your choose one. Instagram. I'm not telling you to cut cold turkey. Cut one of them. Cut Twitter.
Coach
Cut
Turkey.
IG. Don't go cold turkey. Cut one of them. Just cut one of them. Just do it. And I guarantee you, it would allow you to. Go right into my next thing. Is run your own race. Cut off social media and run your own race. That's my one thing that I'll give you, right? And if you do those two things, man, again, I always say this, I'm a firm believer that you will end up where you're supposed to be at the end of the day, whether it's NAIA, Division One, Division Two, Division Three, man. It's like you should be grateful for even having the opportunity to play the sport that you have passion and you love. But those two things, man, cut off one of your social medias and then run your own race.
What can freshmen start doing today to improve, their recruiting chances?
Yeah, I would say, man, more so if you're saying, obviously, one thing we talked about is strength and conditioning. You got to get stronger. And the one thing, Coach Joe talks about for us is like, you got to be able to move your own body weight. When he said that to me, man, I was like, man, okay, move your own body weight. How many pull ups can you do? I'm not asking you to go in here and lift 500 pounds. Control your weight, right? So I would say that I would say work on your strength and conditioning, right? Like that's super super important. And then from there, it's like we talked about being consistent, just from all the factors of being in the gym, eating right, doing all of the things that you need to do to put yourself in a good position to find a scholarship and end up where you should be.
How important is being coachable?
Say that one more time.
How important is it to be being coachable?
It's important. I think it is very important. And that's, yes, and being coachable is very important. And like, but those are all things that again, you can tell very quickly when you walk in the gym if a kid's coachable, right? It's so simple, right? Usually the kids that are the loudest ones in the gym, the ones that are picking their teammates up, those are the same dudes that the coach trusts and is like, hey, go do this, and he's listening and he's trying to get the other guys to do that, right? So again, all of those foundational skills, man, it's not hard for us to, not only for our staff and for me to see, but yes, being coachable is like, it's very important. But if you're already doing those other intangibles, 9 times out of 10, man, you already are being coachable. You know what I mean? You already are listening and trying to drive home what the coach is already trying to get the other guys to do.
I really like this question. If a recruit has no D1 offers right now, what should they focus on over the next year?
Yeah. I said this to you. If you have no Division 1 offers, uh, whoever is trying to offer you, listen to what they have to say. Um, if you are able to ask a coach why, that's always a good thing. Like, hey, what can I work on? Try to ask them. That's one thing. You can always work on something. So that's one thing. But if you already have somebody recruiting you, man, I cannot stress this enough. Go where you are wanted. Go where you are wanted, man. Like it is, it's, I'm telling you, like if you go somewhere where you're wanted versus you're hounding, you're begging somebody to be there. 9 times out of 10, most likely they don't want you there. You're gonna find out you're gonna be somewhere that you thought was this, it looked gold, but it wasn't, right? So it's like, man, go somewhere where you are wanted, right? And then continue to just be consistent and work on, you can get some constructive criticism as well. And then when they do give that to you, be ready to work on it, right? Work on your game.
What do you hope every recruit takes away from hearing this interview tonight?
Yeah, yeah. I think, man, I think the one question that stood out to me that you asked me was, what should they post on their social media? Right? We live in this world where even myself, like I find out I don't. I told you this all the time. I don't know I don't have all the answers, right? And I don't. I try not to act like I have all the answers, right? So for everybody, man, it's like be yourself. Like find what you are passionate about. Find what's important to you, and then lean on that. Double, quadruple down on that, right? Especially in a world where people may tell you, that's what you shouldn't do. Or, for us, as we recruit at Bellarmine, oh, you got to take this dude because he jumps really high. We are doubling down on what we know has got us to where we've been successful. So, that's one thing, man, is like just be yourself, double down on it. And I promise you, if you double down on it and you're yourself and you have a good foundation and you have the right people in your circle, good things will come to you. They really will.
Yeah, run your own race. That's
Yeah.
that's like the biggest key is run your own race.
Yeah. Just run it,
Well,
man. Run it. Run it. Because at the end of the day, you're the one running the race. Nobody else is running that race. Nobody's gonna make you, nobody's gonna push you like to make you run faster. Run your race. You run your race, the rest will take care of itself.
man, coach, this has been an incredible conversation. Man, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. Sharing your insight on Bellarmine basketball, player development, and the recruiting process. Man, we appreciate everything you're doing for the game, everything you're doing at Bellarmine. For everyone watching, if you enjoyed tonight's episode, make sure you subscribe to Pure Prospects Substack. Also over on YouTube for more exclusive interviews with college coaches like Coach Davis, scouts, trainers, and some of the nation's top prospects. Follow us across social media on Instagram, Facebook, and X. For Coach Al Davis, I'm Cody Thomas. Thank you guys for joining the Pure Prospects podcast, and we'll see you next time. Man, Coach, thank you so much for coming on, my man.
I appreciate you, Cody, man. You take care, man. If you need anything, don't ever hesitate to hit me, okay, man?
All right, yes, sir. You do the
All
same.
right, man. All right, take care, man.
Yes, sir.